Good evening, this is just a brief layout tour, obviously for those of you that have asked. Just a quick view around my layout. It's nothing too big. Shamefully it's in the garage. I blocked the garage door up with some insulation during winter, which was much needed. Just giving you a brief tour of my layout and how it works, operates, and what I'm going to be doing with it. I haven't yet given my layout a name. At the minute I'm just working on it. The majority of it is for operation running small DMUs, and also in the background I'm wanting to be running large freight trains, petroleum, and also a couple of TMD areas. There's still more expansion going on, I'm not long started. Just want you to have a look around. Okay, if we go up to this end, my layout does operate off a helix system. Please excuse the mess. What I have here is basically a helix with a washing machine stored underneath. That's the best way to say it. My helix is not finished on this side yet entirely, because this top piece will be coming round, well, slightly higher up, and it will be coming round, which will give me more scenic round to this side, which is my spraying area, which I keep drinks and all sorts. Okay, starting on here, so this will be gone, and in the background this will be tunnelled here. There'll be a tunnel entrance here coming through. The side here I have a small TMD area which is concrete based. Obviously this is filler, sanded down and then all sprayed. I've got yet to put the buffers in. Put a little bit of detail in. Nice little flickering fire burn. I'm not entirely happy with this building yet, but I've got more to progress. Just a small gated area on the front, which just gives some angle just for some great little shots. Obviously I've got lighting etc to put in there, and I've also got another yard light to put in here as well, which is a nice bit of equipment. I've weathered bits and bobs of the track. I've still got more to finish. Along here, it's just green area which I'll be having spares. I've still got to put grass down, things like that. There's a small fueling point here, which is opposite with storage tank. Nice little light on there, and you won't be able to see it on the camera very well, but underneath there's some little lights on the fueling point. Next I have the signal box, which I've put the lighting in. I've just got to put the 12 volt DC to underneath. What I do with most of my buildings, to flip them up, first thing I do is paint them black inside, stops the light shining through the edges, which I'm sure many of you experienced. And then I'll just run basic LED lighting strips inside. I can dim them down depending, basically with 1K resistors, depending on how bright I'd like it. And I use copper tape contacts on the bottom, which I will be then putting on the base here, so I can simply lift the building on and off without having to disconnect any wiring etc, and just plonk it back down, which my lighting will work. I've got a nice little bicycle shed at the end here, and also little basic rest area for the workmen. So this siding splits off down here, which runs back on itself, you'll see in a second, through there into the storage depot. I've taken the ballast up here. I wasn't entirely happy with it the first attempt. It was my first attempt at doing it. So I'm gonna, I've just got to finish it off. This is actually my programming track, which in other uses is storage siding. But all I do is simply, there's a nice little switch under here, which enables me to switch from normal to programming mode. I've got the layout turned off at the moment, but there's a red LED in that buffer light, which is linked to the programming track, which is then basically linked, isolated from the main track, so I can switch between a running track and a programming. But with the LED it gives me the advantage to see that if my track's on normal, and when I go to do programming, it actually flickers, and so I can see when it's actually finished programming and working. On the exit I've put a little bit of detail in. I've started to put the point motors in, and also a little bit of orange cable trunking, obviously with diesel spills over the top. Little cabinet to the side, and also a little shunt signal, which switches with the point work underneath. It's linked off the point motor. Then go on to loop back siding. So chains run back down to here, then back out onto the main line, which gives me the advantage of doing my second TMD, which is the same method. So I'm just going to pull this out of the way. It's 24. So single shot lighting depot. It's a little bit bright. Not sure if I'm entirely happy with the colouring. I've done bits and bobs of little bits of weathering on it, and obviously little bits down the floor and etc. I've still got a bit more to do on that. And the same with actually into the main depot shed. I've put these light signals on the front, so you can see, just create a little bit of authentic, works better at night. From there, I'll run off a 3-track system, so I've got 3 tracks running through, and what I can do then is park basically trains in the station while another one bypasses through. I've got the main line at the back there, which is quite hard to reach. A wall going in, but I've got a wall going in, I'm not entirely happy with it, being nice to card ones. I actually prefer using actual clay models, the same with my platforms. These are Hornby. I will be basically finishing these off, so what I'll be doing is actually filling these in, sanding and repainting to make a bit more prototypical to the 80s. Generally great for storing DMUs in. I'll be doing parcel points etc in there. And that. A lot of the stock I have is RTC Derby based and running off DMUs, 47s and 37s. I do be planning to get a few class 58s. I've got one already, Elgin one, which is weathered up. I'm just looking to get a few more. The back loop, like I said, runs around. Underneath here I've tried to do them in perspective so you don't see corners in the layout. I've got a town scene etc going up on top here in the first back loop, which links around to the side there. The same with the second loop, but it splits into 2, these 2 here, which is the middle loop. There's 2 tracks that run all the way across. And then I've got a crossing sections up there with some double slips and crossovers that basically, well, allow me to switch tracks either way, and the same back down this side just before the other helix. The centre inner track obviously links straight through to the 2 TMDs, and also sidings bridging off for either parcel units or DMUs. Like so. A little bit of detailing and cabin going at the back yet, still got lighting, plenty to do there. Nearly finished with this area. I've just got to do something about the height of the wall. I need to do back scenes yet. Put a few sort of boxes in and done bits and bobs of weathering of the track. Let me know what you think of that. And as soon as it gets across to this section, there will be basically a bridge going across here in the long term. All of this around the back, I'm planning to put higher boards up, so it will be coming up, and you won't see the section going around the back, which then links to the other helix. Here I'll be doing the industrial area, just for some more goods, etc. I've still got a lot to do here. The track's not live or anything here yet, but it does link off from the inner loop. What that does is it goes around the back. It's not much of a helix, this one. It actually only runs off one spin. So it links round, comes through, into the back and back under the layout. I'm just going to flick the trains on 1 second. So the class 26 with the MG or hoppers is just moving out of the way. I've got a couple of little storage sidings which comes off the back loop, and it also links around the back there, completely under the layout, which goes under the helix and gives me some more storage underneath, which I've got a few class 47s stored under at the minute. Just gives me, storage is a big issue for myself. I've got quite a few locomotives, a lot still boxed and nowhere to store them, and obviously in rakes. Come back around this side, so this is just not necessarily a helix, it's a spin round that goes underneath and links through. There's the 158 from earlier. I'm using the Gauge Master Prodigy Advance, which you'll see in a second, but I've been using these EZ command control panels, which is great for just connecting to the bus for the controllers. Underneath here obviously I've got various wiring, which is obviously the main power bus, and then I've also got well, the main power DCC bus, and then I've also got the 12 volt bus under here as well. All my points are DCC decoded, which I'll show you in a second. Underneath, the main 3 loops go through the back. Wait a minute. These have a couple of sidings branching off each. In focus. So it's wiring mayhem under here. There's that 26 gone back round, and then off the front here, 4 sidings which I can just leave, well, pre-configured trains in there to shoot off, which goes onto the inner loop. Obviously I've used surface mount point motors on the inside, just because I had a few lying about. I've tried to put a little bit of lighting inside so I can see roughly what I'm doing. Point motors I'm using as a mixture. I'm using the gauge master seat PM1s, obviously with a switch built in. And I've also been using these DCC concept ones, but the issue with me having a two-tier layout is they're not very easy to install, mainly due to the height. Obviously I wish I did make it a little bit higher, top layer, etc. So as you can see, the little LEDs running on my siding. Right, so the helix comes through here. We're between a maze of wiring at the moment. Obviously you can see there's several sidings there. I'll show you the track plan layout in a moment. Through here, which comes back round to the other helix. Basically this just gives me an effect of a train obviously can disappear for about a minute. Obviously without running on my layout, and I can run several trains while in tandem behind it. So the area around here, obviously this top board, obviously we'll have the industrial area. I'm not sure entirely what to do here. At the moment it's just my carriage storage, which is rapidly running out of space between Mark 3 rakes for all the HSTs that I've got going on here. I may make it go round, please excuse the mess, around my garage. Go around, that's where my desk is at the minute. As you can see, flips round. There's a few locos stored up there, most of them are put away at the moment now. There's a HST which I've got to get out, yeah. Just a few bits and bobs that links around. Got a few bits in storage, a few HSTs. Obviously I've got the super detailed new sets, which I've got yet to weather. There's a few bits in this cabinet, just a few storage of rail freight wagons, etc. And cars, etc. that I've got yet to put in. I will be doing a stock video on all the stock that I've got, obviously the rolling stock, and also the locomotives. Great with a house sound, that 37, lovely locomotive. 37428 from Bachmann. Most of the trains I've got are Bachmann, Hornby or Belgium. I've got a couple of lemurs, which you've seen, which is just the old 156s. Not great runners, but I will be improving them and doing videos on them soon. So a great little petroleum rake there. I do have plans for basically a petroleum plant. I have got the kits, which I will be showing you at some point. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. Obviously it's all the little details I've got yet to do, which is all the ballasting, sorting out the point motors. Most of my layout is running off electro frog switches. Basically not necessarily necessary now, but especially with the new locomotives that have got many pickups, but they do give a better point of realism rather than a big piece of plastic in the middle via the frog. But they also obviously give better connectivity. Once you've started weathering the track, you cannot basically rely on the inside. Obviously it could be down to dirt, bit of paint, to operate and conduct the electricity from one rail to the other. So what I've been using actually is I've just been putting basically a single wire in the middle of the V down here, which will run basically off to an electronic point system, which I'll show you in a second. Welcome to the deep dark abyss of the layout. I've got a couple of boards here. Top board there basically runs off DCC concepts point motors. I've got all LED status indicators ready to wire up, so I'm going to be making boards up top with directions of the points so I can see what's where. And then underneath here we have a couple of singlet light controllers, which is like the welding effects controller, and then shot lighting, which will give me multiple flickers and a bit more realism. We've then also got here the actual singlet controllers, which I'm running off CR signals, which will be going on the layout. Then a couple more boards for the point motors. So at the top here, these are for the under section, and ignore that old Hornby controller. I did use that for lighting originally, but I ended up buying one of these off eBay, as that can cope with the quality of lights, especially with a bit of lighting under here as well. Okay, there's my Prodigy Advanced system with a USB connection that goes to the computer. Links around the room just off a 10-metre extension cable. What I've also got here basically is a frog juicer. Ooh, sorry. It's a frog juicer. What this gives me, I'm going to be getting a couple more of these boards for the electro frogs. rather than relying on the point motors to do the switching, this just does it basically electronically. So as soon as the contact's made with a wheel, it switches to the opposite polarity, so you get no shorts on the controller and gives a much better connection. Highly recommended. I'll do a video review on that soon. So it's just a quick view of my control board, how I've laid it out, and bits and bobs to come. Right, I'm currently making a main control board, which is for my switches for point motors, as well as obviously I've got DCC. It gives me the option of both of them. I've got a controller which I'm currently wiring in. This will be at an angle, I've got to put a bracket on yet. 12 volt output, my main track output which I can switch off just with a flick of a switch, if God forbid any shorts. And then I've also got one of these ramp meters that gives me an indication on how many amps I'm currently using. So at the moment I'm using about near 1.5 amps. That's just powering, well, 3 locomotives. The Helgens tend to be quite thirsty on power, so I had to come up with another solution. If I was running 6-7 locomotives at the same time, I was having a problem with the system actually shorting out, because the Prodigy advance only does roughly about 3.5 amps. It was shorting out about 3.2 with myself, so I ended up buying as you can see under there is a DCC booster, 8 amp booster, which at the moment does run the whole of my layout. But I have got the bottom section isolated, which I will be running on the 3 amps and then the 8 amps up top. The main reason for getting one of these, like I said, is it shorted out, and it was mainly doing that underload on the helixes. Thank you for watching the short video review on the layout. If you can just let me know your thoughts and any improvements you think I can make, please comment below. Thank you.